History books tell you how wars were won by armies and generals, but they often miss the moments where the impossible actually happened. Today, 10 true stories from World War II that sound like Hollywood fiction, but every single word is real. Today, we are exploring 10 impossible war stories. Every single one of them is real. It's April 1945. The Dutch city of Zwolle is crawling with thousands of German troops. Canadian scout Leo Major and his friend are sent on a reconnaissance mission. When his friend is killed, Leo doesn't retreat. Armed with only a submachine gun and a bag of grenades, he goes completely rogue. For an entire night, he sprints through the streets, firing bursts from different positions, throwing grenades, and creating chaos to make the Germans believe an entire regiment is attacking. By dawn, the terrified Germans have surrendered or fled. Leo Major single-handedly captured 93 soldiers and liberated the entire city, completely alone. He would later lose an eye in battle, but refused to leave the front lines. December 1943, high over Germany. An American B-17 is a flying wreck. Half the tail shot off, the nose smashed, crew badly wounded. German ace Franz Stigler pulls alongside to finish them off, but through his cockpit glass he sees the blood, the fear, and the dying crew. Something inside him breaks. Instead of firing, he salutes the American pilot, Charlie Brown, and then does the unthinkable. He flies in formation to shield them from German anti-aircraft guns all the way to the North Sea. They wouldn't meet again for 40 years when they finally reunited and became lifelong best friends. She was a 24-year-old history student when the Nazis invaded the Soviet Union. They told her to become a nurse. She demanded a rifle instead. Within a year, Lyudmila Pavlichenko became Lady Death, the deadliest female sniper in history with 309 confirmed kills. But her greatest battle wasn't in the mud of Sevastopol. It was on a 1942 tour of the United States. Standing in front of a crowd of reporters, she calmly said, "Gentlemen, I am 25 years old and I have killed 309 fascist invaders. Don't you think you've been hiding behind my back for too long?" Her words shamed America into sending more aid to the Eastern Front. Nazi-occupied Paris, 1940. 18-year-old Adolfo Kaminsky, a Jewish-French chemist, becomes the resistance's master forger. His philosophy was brutally simple. If I sleep for 1 hour, 30 people will die. He stayed awake for days at a time, perfecting techniques to alter documents that saved over 14,000 Jewish children and thousands more. He never took a single franc for his work and lived in the shadows for decades after the war, refusing to seek recognition. Meet Sam, the luckiest or unluckiest cat in naval history. He began the war aboard the German battleship Bismarck. When it was sunk, he was found floating on a plank and adopted by the British. His new ship, the Cossack, was torpedoed. Sam survived again. Transferred to the aircraft carrier Ark Royal, that ship was also sunk. Sam was rescued once more, clinging to debris. Finally retired to a sailor's home on land, he lived out the rest of his 9 lives in peace. The U.S. 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, known as the Ghost Army, was one of the strangest units in the war. Made up of artists, designers, and sound engineers, they used inflatable rubber tanks, fake sound recordings of troop movements, and deceptive radio traffic to create the illusion of entire divisions where none existed. They successfully fooled the Germans multiple times, most famously during the Battle of the Bulge, saving thousands of American lives through pure deception and creativity. In the heart of Nazi Germany, a small group of university students known as the White Rose dared to resist. Led by siblings Hans and Sophie Scholl, they printed and distributed leaflets calling for the overthrow of Hitler. They knew the risks. In 1943, they were arrested, tried, and executed by guillotine. Sophie's final words before death, "Such a fine, sunny day, and I have to go." Their courage inspired resistance movements across Europe. In 1940, Polish resistance fighter Witold Pilecki volunteered to be captured and sent to Auschwitz, when it was still primarily a Polish prisoner camp, to organize resistance from inside. He smuggled out detailed reports about the Holocaust that reached the Allies. After escaping in 1943, he continued fighting the Nazis and later the Soviets. He is one of the greatest unsung heroes of the entire war. The Soviet 588th Night Bomber Regiment, all female, flew ancient wooden biplanes on thousands of night missions against the Nazis. They cut their engines and glided silently over targets, earning the German nickname Night Witches. They flew more than 23,000 sorties and dropped 3,000 tons of bombs, all while facing sexism from their own side and terror from the enemy. Desmond Doss was a Seventh-day Adventist who refused to carry a weapon or work on Saturdays because of his faith. Assigned as a combat medic, he single-handedly saved 75 wounded men during the brutal Battle of Okinawa, running through enemy fire again and again with no gun to defend himself. He became the first conscientious objector to receive the Medal of Honor. War is defined by numbers, but it's won and sometimes survived by ordinary people who refused to give up. Which of these 10 stories surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that history almost forgot.